Most of us are shaped by changes we didn't choose. The question isn't whether change will find you, but whether you'll define what it means or let it define you. Last week I started a new job. As I entered the new building to begin my orientation, I looked across the pond to see the building where I got my start in the city 35 years ago. But this unplanned change still left me with a choice. Today we're talking about that choice, the one every one of us has when life shifts the ground beneath our feet. And I'll give you one thing you can do this week when you're facing a change you didn't ask for.
Welcome to the Live Right Now podcast with me, Allan. This is where mindfulness meets everyday life. Thanks for joining me for this reflection on living with intention. Let's talk about how we can live right now.
Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Allan, and welcome to Live Right Now. We spend a lot of time talking about the changes we plan, the goals we set, and the decisions we make deliberately. But some of the most significant shifts are ones we never see coming. They don't ask whether we're ready. They don't come labeled as opportunities. They just show up. And who we become in response is where the real story begins. I've talked about some of the changes I've been experiencing on this podcast, how the broadcasting career I built over more than 3 decades ended. And I saw what was happening around me. I'd thought about doing something different, but I still thought my position was safe until I chose to make the change. It wasn't. In another episode, I talked about what came next, about a choice made in uncertainty, but with determination, in a direction I hadn't anticipated, toward a role in a field far outside the world I'd known. I didn't plan this chapter, but I'm writing it. On the first morning of my new role, I found myself parking my car in the office complex where I'd be getting my orientation. This is one of those complexes, the little lake there, and on the other side of that lake was the building that I walked into 35 years earlier to start my first radio job in this city. That building across the water could mean one of two things. It could be a weight, a constant reminder of what I'd lost, a measuring stick for what this chapter might never match. Or it could be an anchor, solid ground, evidence of everything I'd learned, everyone who had shaped me, everything I was bringing forward with me. Same building and same history, but entirely different meanings. It was up to me to decide. Now that's the choice I want to talk about today. Not the choice of whether to take the new role. I mean, for me, that decision is already made. It's the choice of what the change means. The hardest part of an unwanted change isn't the change itself. It's the story you tell yourself about who you are now. That change can come in many forms, but the choice of what it means, that part belongs to you. When life changes in ways you didn't choose, the instinct is to let the change write the story, to frame it as something that happened to you, to measure everything that follows against the thing that you lost. But there's a choice available even when the change itself wasn't. You don't choose what arrives, but you do choose what it means. You choose what you carry forward. You choose whether what's behind you is a weight pulling you back or an anchor holding you steady. The circumstance doesn't make that decision. You do. And that decision is the one that determines where you go next. They say that wherever you go, there you are. And it's true, but maybe not in the way you might first think. That saying isn't about being trapped by who you are. It's about the fact that changing your circumstances without changing your outlook doesn't really change anything. As I've made my way through the early weeks of my new role, I've seen this in action. I found myself in conversations with people at all levels who wanted to know why I made the change from what they perceived as a more exciting field to where I am now. I explained that I wanted to use my communication skills in a new way, to make a difference in something meaningful, and that I wanted to become a leader that people wanted to follow. The response I get was usually some variation of, that's what we need here. I wasn't performing a version of myself that I thought they wanted to see. I was just being who I am. And it turned out that who I am, shaped by years in a completely different field, was exactly what this new environment was looking for. Now, there was another moment that reinforced this for me. One of the early things I needed to do was set up a sampling event for the store. Now, as I looked at the tent and the tables and the signs, I realized that this job may have changed, but some things stay the same. I've done this before, just not in a grocery store, in television, at community events, creating an experience for people. Different setting, same skills, same person. We tend to think that a major career change means starting over, that you leave behind what you built and begin again from scratch in unfamiliar territory. But that's not quite how it works. What you bring with you when everything else changes isn't your title or your industry or your context. It's you, your values, your instincts, the way of thinking and learning and leading and working that you've spent your life developing. You don't start over. You start from everything you already are. And sometimes in a new place with new people, in a context you never would have chosen, they turn out to be exactly what's needed. Now, I've barely started this new role. I'm still trying to figure out a whole new industry, catch on to a new workflow, and learn a whole lot of new names. But here's what I know for sure. I know who I am, and I know what I bring with me, and I know what I'm trying to become. And that doesn't require certainty, doesn't need a plan. I just have to choose the anchor over the weight. All I need to do is show up and be myself, trusting that who I am is built for more than one context. As the saying goes, you're under no obligation to be the person you were even 5 minutes ago. The fact is, we're all changing and becoming something new. Through every role, every transition, every new chapter thrust upon us. And we'll continue becoming. The next chapter is already underway. One of my favorite proverbs is, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Now, you might think it's a statement about regret, about the cost of waiting, of starting too late, missing the window, but that's not what it's saying. It's not about what you should have done. It's about what the past can't take from you. Whatever didn't happen on the timeline that you would have chosen, whatever chapter closed before you were ready, whatever role disappeared without warning, none of that changes what's available to you right now. The tree doesn't care when you plant it. It only knows what you do from here. The past is not a condition you have to keep meeting. The second best time is always now, and now is the only time you actually have. So here's what I want to leave with you this week. Think of one change in your life that you didn't choose. It might be something recent or something that you've been carrying for a while. A role that ended, a relationship that shifted, a direction that was decided for you before you were ready. Ask yourself two things. First, have you decided what it means, or has it been decided for you? Because that choice is available even when the change itself wasn't. You get to name what the experience means, what you're carrying forward, whether what's behind you is a weight or an anchor. Second, ask what came with you. What values, skills, or ways of showing up, developed over years in a completely different context, did you bring into this new chapter, whether you noticed or not? Pick as many things as you'd like to name, but name at least one, because what you've built doesn't stay behind when the chapter changes. It comes with you, and it may turn out to be exactly what's needed where you are now. Maybe you should have planted that tree years ago. That's okay. Go ahead and plant it now. Thanks for spending some time thinking about this with me today. Until next time, let the changes be an anchor, not a weight. Choose what's next, and remember to live right now.
Thanks for being part of Live Right Now. If you like what you've heard, I encourage you to like and follow the podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration today. Join the conversation on our Facebook page or email me your thoughts at the address in the show notes. I'm Allan Haw. Until next time, make the most of every moment and remember to live right now.